We got delivery of this 2016 Audi A8L with a 4.0 liter twin turbo V8 engine. After picking it up at the auction, sight unseen, I saw the listing. It was listed as mechanical damage, but it seemed that the engine ran fine, but the check engine light was on. After getting delivery of it, I realized the car was smoking out of the tailpipe and that it had a misfire. We did a compression test. We did a piston soak with the chem tool to clean up the piston rings. We cleaned up the old spark plugs. We put them on there. The misfire seemed to get better. The check engine light was no longer flashing. However, there's still a slight misfire, and we have a timing code for cam crank correlation. And in today's video, we're going to jump into that, figure out if we have a timing issue or if we have something else going on. So the code that remained is P0018, which is cam crank correlation, which is for the intake side of bank 2. Now, out in the internet, there's a bunch of misinformation on this engine. Some say that this is bank 1. Some say that the other side is bank 1. What I ended up doing is I unplugged one of these coils and I figured out that this is cylinder 5, which is what I initially thought was bank 2. And so it was good to verify that this is bank 2 here and that I'm not going in a totally different direction than where the issue is. Now, off camera, I got delivery of the spark plug. So I did put the new spark plugs on there and I tested it out to see how it was. One other thing I did off camera, there's a solenoid. Well, there's two solenoids here for the variable valve timing. There's an intake side and there's an exhaust side. I swapped the intake side, which is what the P0018 code is for. I swapped the intake side and I put it on to the other bank and the code did not change. Now this job is going to be really hard for me to show you guys in detail just because of the location of where this thing is, but I'm going to try my best. If you take a flathead screwdriver and twist this about halfway, both of these, and pry these open a little bit, kind of get underneath of them and open them up like that on both sides. And you need a timing toolkit like this one, which I picked up on Amazon. It was about $70. In order to lock the camshaft, you need this kit. And in order to spin the crank, you also need this tool here. So I've got the bore scope looking into the hole, and I'm gonna go underneath the car and start spinning the engine. Let's put this tool on there and you're gonna feel it lock in place. Go ahead and spin the engine until you get to the position where you want to be up top. Okay, so it is not perfect, however, you'll get the idea. So if you look over here, you can start seeing the threads on this almost perfectly flat, and over here you only see about half of the same hole. One of these camshafts has moved, and the more likely one is this one, the intake side, because that's what the code is for. The way this is supposed to work, this is the timing tool. This is supposed to be, if this thing is timed properly, this is supposed to go right here and thread on both sides and lock the two camshafts in place so that you can do the timing. But like I said, because that is almost fully flat and this one is only half of the hole is showing, that means that we are out of time. Our next step is to be disassembling this bank on this side. Go ahead and remove this turbo actuator. I'm just gonna set this off to the side right there, and I'll put the bolts right back where they went. So there's a plate bracket here that needs to come out that has a couple of T30s that are holding it in. So let's start taking these out. With a 17 millimeter, we're gonna go ahead and relieve the pressure from here, from the high pressure fuel pump. Keep the rag like that so it doesn't spray in your eyes. Not a bad idea to put safety glasses on either. Now let's take the rubber hose off. You don't want to force this part. This rubber hose is giving me some grief to come out, so I'm going to remove the whole pump together. You just want to go very slow with this because it is spring loaded. There's a spring at the bottom there, so you want to go evenly when taking this out. You don't want to take out one side all the way and then the other side, and you can see it's like bouncing up as you do this. And I'll see if I can move the whole pump together with this rubber hose. Okay, so that's the big spring right here. This is what the camshaft pushes into. So as the camshaft spins faster, it's pushing into this, and that's what creates high pressure in the system, high fuel pressure. Tie this harness a little bit out of the way. So now let's go ahead and loosen up all of the T30s for the valve cover. In order to take the valve cover off, the way you're supposed to unbolt the screws is by starting from the middle here, if there is any bolts. For this one, you got two right here. So you start from there, and then you go take the outermost bolts on the opposite side out and sort of work your way inside, because when you torque it, you're supposed to start from the middle and torque your way all the way outside. It's the opposite of installation. Now we go on the opposite side. I moved the cowl out of the way a little bit. Let's see if that gives us enough space to be able to pry up this thing here. There's a 10mm bolt right where my finger is. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but that right there is holding the valve cover in place. So we have to take that off as well, and then pry again and see if it will come out. This side is definitely up. It's just the other side needs to come up as well. It's a little bit tricky. You just got to be patient with this. It seems that this cover does not want to come out unless this cover in the front is taken out, but because the intake is also on the way, I do not want to force this. So either way, we do have to take that cover off. In order to take that cover off over here, we need to take off the catalytic converter because there's some bolts in the way. So I'm going to go underneath of the car, start taking the exhaust off. And the reason I cannot show you guys me removing that is because I'm going to be working underneath the car and I don't have a lift. It's going to be almost impossible for me to record and show you guys, and also for me to work as well, because there's not that much space there. That's why I'm not showing you the process of how to remove it. So to take this catalytic converter off, the one on the passenger side is the one that crosses over to the driver's side. In order to take that off, you need to take off 5 nuts. There's 2 up here, there's another one down there, another one here, and then there's one hidden which is a little bit harder. It's like down below. It is right there at the bottom. That one's the hardest one to get to, but can be done. So once you loosen that up, you go underneath here and you loosen the 3 bolts, and there's also a hold down bracket. So if you look right there where my light is, you can kind of see that bracket hold down. There's a triple square that holds that on in place, so you have to take that out. It looks like this. So once you get this out, you are able to move the exhaust enough to be able to get to the bolt, so you don't have to take it out all the way. You can kind of move this catalytic converter out of the way. This black hose just comes out. It goes into the firewall there, and then you have this coolant line right there, which has these 2 bolts. It's a 10mm and a T30. I should pretty much have everything out, so now we can pry the cover here off. Let's see if we are able to pry this. Now we can take the valve cover out. Let's go ahead and remove this cover, because now this should pop out. Okay, we got the valve cover off, and this is also what holds the camshafts down. So now let's do some inspection here. Right off the bat, I can see this guide is broken. This cover here seems like it does not come out without taking the catalytic converter completely out, because it's got this piece of plastic here, and that is a coolant passage. So that coolant goes to the head. So whenever this cover comes out, a lot of coolant will dump into the engine. So you got to make sure that you drain the oil after. But now I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this other catalytic converter here. I was able to get this cover out. They make this such a pain in the ass because you have to remove this cover, but this thing is in the way, and to take the catalytic converters is also a pain in the butt. The only thing that I see wrong is this right here, which is the guide. However, I mean, it was still sitting on there like this, so I don't think that would affect timing. So maybe replacing the adjuster and putting this back in time will fix the issue. I'm gonna take a look to see how much those adjusters are, and we'll kind of go from there. I removed the passenger side harness because I wanted to check timing. Unfortunately, my tool, this one, does not fit on there. Cheap Chinesium one that I got on Amazon. However, I was able to screw in just those bolts, so the black ones right there, and they look to be exactly the same. So the timing on the passenger side is good. It's just on the driver's side that we have an issue. Just to sort of get an opinion from you guys, what do you think we should do in this case? I marked this here for where we are on both sides. I need to mark it on the other side as well, but we're definitely off on this side. Also, another thing that I should mention, I don't think you have to take off this cover here, the actual valve cover, in order to look at the timing and in order to remove the front one. I think if you just loosen the catalytic converter, then you can get the rear plate out, and it will save you a bunch of time, and also it will keep the camshafts down. The parts are finally coming in today. I'm going to be replacing that tensioner, so I'm going to be taking this off. I will not be able to show you guys this process because this thing is all the way back here. It's gonna be really hard for me to put a camera there. But what I can do and what I will do is I will leave a couple of links down below that you guys can watch that will explain how the timing works and how to remove the adjusters and the tensioner. So I'll be leaving those down below. What we're doing next is putting the valve cover onto the camshafts to hold them down. And I know it probably not necessary, but I will be putting some assembly lube just in case. You know, I don't want any dry starts or anything like that to happen. You can also put oil, but I have some of this in here, so I'm just going to be using this. And then after that, just take your hand and just move it around like that. I will be removing this thing again once I set the timing, because I do have to clean this up, both surfaces, and reseal it. So I will be taking that out again. So I'll just be putting a couple of these just to hold the camshafts down. Again, I'm not putting any silicone or anything of that sort. It is literally just to hold the cams down. I'm gonna put one leg of this tool on here so that this doesn't move, and then this one I'm not going to touch. However, when I go and loosen this, this camshaft is not gonna spin. Even if this one spins a little bit, we're gonna be adjusting into time, so that's okay. So the hardest part about this job is holding on. The hardest part about this job is holding on to this adjuster here. That's the cam wheel, and loosening the nut. This one is good, but it's a little bit easier to see. The one that we have an issue is with that one right there. So we're going to be taking that one completely out, and then what we're going to be doing as well is removing the tensioner. I'm going to be doing that stuff off of camera because, again, it's very hard. I can't even see in there myself, let alone try to get a camera in there and see. It's going to be super hard. All right, guys, so of course my GoPro audio got corrupted at the end of this video. However, we were able to get the adjusters off. I got the valve cover in place, and I was able to spin the camshaft to lock them both in place. So now everything is locked in time. All we have to do is replace the tensioner. As you can see, this tensioner is worn, and I did order a new tensioner. I ordered a kit, and of course the kit that I ordered was not the correct one. It did not fit this car, so now I'm waiting on another one. But I wanted to post this update, and hopefully we'll be able to get the new part in about a week or two, and hopefully we'll get the car running by the next video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.